Welcome to another episode of This Week with Sabir. Today in the hot seat is Aron Levin, and let me tell you a little bit about him. I've known Aron for a while now. Aron is the founder and CMO of Relatable. Relatable is a fast-growing influencer marketing agency with a team of 50 people across the globe. I mean, he has who's who of clients like Samsung, Adobe, Google, Volvo, Ralph Lauren, and Chiquita, but also direct-to-consumer brands like LifeSum and BioClarity. We will actually use quite a lot of them during today's episode as examples that Aron is going to share with us. But before he started with Relatable, I'm going to actually dig into this pretty deep. He was part of Candy Crush, so that's a very iconic game and very popular. So we will definitely go over that. And he also has won the Grand Clio Award, which is the Oscars of advertising, for his work and launch of partnership with Spotify and Uber. He is the author of Amazon bestseller Influencer Marketing for Brands. So people who love reading books and stuff like that and want to understand the mindset of Aron, and the strategies, you can actually pick up his book on Amazon. It's called Influencer Marketing for Brands. It's published by Springer Nature. And just to kind of give you a bit more context with Aron, which is really impressive. I mean, this is why I bring folks like Aron to the show, because he's a practitioner. He has lived it. Underneath that T-shirt and the undershirt he's wearing are deep scars of learning that he's going to share with us in influencer marketing. So that's a topic we will tackle with him. His clients have invested tens of millions of dollars. I mean, it's multiple of that, actually. The real number is a multiple of that. And 20,000 collaborations. So when you do 20,000 collaborations, you learn quite a lot. So Aron, thank you for being part of the show. Thank you for being here, and we will have a great time over the next 60 minutes sharing your knowledge, your insights. I was actually Aron's client at one point, so I got to experience Aron's work and his team. Shout out to Casey Bitzberger and Topaz. They were part of my team handling my account at that time. Brilliant people, really smart people, and led by you. And so, thank you for being here, Aron.
Dude, thank you for the opportunity and those very kind words. I guess if you were a client and you would now have me on the show, it must mean that I did something right.
I hope so. No, definitely. I mean, I was very happy with the work that was done, and I actually learned quite a lot working with your team during that process. And today we will share a lot of those kind of insights and strategies with folks, because, well, when you think about, and we've had a lot of different guests here. We had Isaac Rudensky, who's brilliant at Google Ads, paid ads and stuff like that. We had Neil Patel, who is brilliant at SEO and content marketing. And we had Brittany Crystal, who's amazing at building personal brands, which is a kind of the other side of influencer marketing.
Oh, yeah.
And now you kind of complete the circle with having influencer marketing, and we're going to have a great time.
Sounds great.
So to start off with, what I like doing to kind of intro you to the audience, Candy Crush, Spotify, Uber, but let's go back, because you had your start somewhere else, right? Let's start from there, right?
My childhood. No.
Listen, I'm not Freud, and I'm not going to blame your mom or anything like that. That's not the goal here. Let's talk about maybe college or right after college,
right.
How you got started in the field, or your field, like marketing, advertising, or you might have been a mathematician, because I was a computer scientist. I was not a business growth hacker that I am today.
I failed my way through school, and math was certainly one of the areas where I struggled a lot. And it surprises people because they're like, "You're really good at math." I'm like, I have the credentials to disprove that, or the lack of credentials, rather. So I did not go to college or any. I went to school, and then I started working right away with sales, and I spent a couple of years doing sales, but I think deep down, I was more interested in the engineering, more of the persuasion engineering than the persuasion part. So I think that kind of segues into marketing in a way. I thought was more interesting what you learn when you've had 1,000 one-to-one conversations. How do you reverse engineer those insights and kind of turn them into tactics and strategies? And that's very similar to marketing, because marketing is basically sales at scale, where you don't go and talk to people one-on-one. So after doing sales and direct sales, both on the B2B side and to consumers, I started to. I've always had an interest in the internet and doing things online, but I realized that if I just take these things that I'm doing from a sales point of view and do them on the internet, that's online marketing. So it was a very natural segue. So after I took a break from the direct sales, and I came back and I applied for a job at King.com. So it was now it's King Digital Entertainment. Back then it was King.com, the gaming company responsible for Candy Crush and 100 other games as well. So I applied for a job there with advertising operations, which I had absolutely no credentials or expertise in that area. And through some kind of chance and luck, I guess, I was hired to do that very job. So that led me from sales to doing marketing and things online. And then that kind of, I guess that's very close to where we are. That's kind of what led me into, working with consumer growth business on the internet, I guess.
Yeah, but game adoption and getting more people to play the game and be engaged with the game and stuff like that, going from there to selling consumer products and through influencers, that's a bit of a leap there between those two things.
I think it is. So I worked at King, and I got to witness firsthand how to. So there's like two things happening in parallel. So I'll try to lay this out in a way that makes sense to people. I had the opportunity of working at King when it was a company with like 100 employees. So that's not a small company, but now they're like, I don't know, 3,000 people or whatever. So it was relatively small at the time. And I got to witness up close that it was possible to, you would be in Stockholm, in Sweden, and you would run,
That's where you are right now, by the way, with your family.
That's where I am right now. I'm usually based in Venice, California, but this was a special year. I don't think we'll leave it.
Very special.
Well, I'm going to be back there later in the before the end of the year, hopefully. But this was a special year. Let's not go there. So I worked at that company, and I got to see firsthand that it was possible to build. And at the time, there were not hundreds of millions of players, but there were hundreds of thousands. And that's still like quite impressive. So I got the mindset of like, hey, it's possible to build a global company from where I'm standing right now. And I also learned a lot about the importance of the combination of data and the combination of data and numbers and art. So great advertising is half math, half science, half art, I think. And great gaming, I mean, the way they've built these gaming companies now, not only King, but a lot of other companies as well, is through that combination of art, which is an art form itself to do game design. But the other aspect of that is also knowing that, how are players responding to changes you're making? Where do they get stuck? What are certain things you can do to get them to come back and drive, retention and conversion and those things? So what's interesting about King is that by the time they launched Candy Crush, they had developed probably, I don't know the number, but more than 100 games. probably like 200 games at that time. And they had 8 to 10 years of, let's call it 5 to 8 years. I can't remember the exact numbers. They had 8 years of data. So they knew quite fast when they saw the traction the game had that this is going to be big. This is something people come back. This is something people play. This is something we should invest in. So, but you can't just have that data side. You also need to have the artists, the game designers, and the people with the ideas. So, so it taught me those two things. I then had the opportunity to go and join Spotify in 2010, and this was right around the time when they launched in the US. So Spotify was, 100th of the size they are today. They had like a million subscribers or something like that. So still not a small company, but nowhere near where they are today. It's a similar story, like 100 employees, similar thing. So that led me to learn about a lot of things. We spent five years there. But I also got to witness so I'm trying now to segue into how we started Relatable, and you'll have to interrupt me if this doesn't make sense. I used the insights over those years. I got to witness up close how the platform like Spotify changed the way not only people consume music, of course, but the democratization of publishing content. Right, so between 2010 and 2015, not only would you could launch an artist and launch and become an artist on a single platform like Spotify, but you also had examples of people like Justin Bieber, who his claim, like the way Justin Bieber became Justin Bieber was through YouTube. Right? He uploaded a video of himself on YouTube, and it wasn't, boom, overnight famous, but that platform was there, and it helped him in a way that it just wouldn't have been possible like 5 years earlier. So I kept seeing those examples and realized that, hey, the future of the economy will be fueled by, and media specifically will be centered around people becoming media companies. Like you and I, this show that we're doing right now, this would not have been possible 10 years ago. Not even close. The technology did not exist. Well, the technology existed, but it would have been very, very expensive. We would have to have experts. We would have to do a lot of different things to even go on air. Now we can press a button, we're live, and tomorrour this is going to be on your phone. I'm luckily I'm not on my phone, but I guess I could have been on my phone.
Yeah.
So point is, I realized that, hey, people are becoming media companies, and if people become media companies, then it's reasonable that advertisers are going to want to advertise where consumers are paying attention. And if we're not paying attention to traditional media anymore, we're paying attention to people, then that's likely where the ad dollars will go. It just made sense at the time that I did not think of like, hey, this influencer marketing thing seems to be a hot topic. I thought about the future of media. So we started the company based on that premise.
I mean, and it has been a phenomenal growth even for you as an agency. It has been an explosive growth.
It has,
since your birth,
Yeah, we did we had a great first year. We entirely bootstrapped, no investment, no venture capital, none of our own money. We just said that, hey, let's see if we can get this thing to take off. Let's see if we can get clients that believe in what we're building, if we can get creators on the other side to work with those brands. And now it's been like 5 years, and it's grown to it's 50 people. It's we're profitable. We're we have offices in 4 different locations, and we have the opportunity to work with mean, a lot of these brands that you mentioned, it's unbelievable.
Oh yeah, incredible. Yeah.
I cannot believe that. And maybe they're watching now, like, what are you talking about? I cannot believe that the most talented marketeers in the world, people that work at companies like Samsung, that they entrust me with my expertise in how they should run their, advertising.
But at the end of the day, you're really good at what you do, and that's what. Yeah, and companies like working with people who really are really good at what they do, and you're one of those talents. So let's dive in. That was the easy pitch, Aron. So now I'm gonna speed it up and start delivering a lot lot so
All
that
right. Enough
audience
about
got
me.
to know you.
Yeah, enough about me. Let's
So
talk about what we can help people.
Let's go with the easy pitch first. What is influencer marketing, and why should brands in 2020 care about influencer marketing?
I think it ties back to what I just said. People are shifting like the way I talk about influence marketing to someone who doesn't know what it is that we're doing is, like, people are no longer paying attention to the same media outlets that they were before. They've shifted their attention from traditional radio to podcasts. They're no longer watching TV. They're watching shows on YouTube. They are not reading glossy magazines. They scroll Instagram. And they go, okay, yeah, that makes sense. So attention has shifted, and attention is one of the biggest challenges for anyone who does advertising. It's always been. So influencer marketing is about capturing people's attention. So, and the way you do that, specifically to talk about what influencer marketing is, it's about getting someone who has built and established trust with an audience to deliver a message to that audience that resonates with that audience, that is relevant, that is engaging, that is entertaining even. And more than anything, naturally, it doesn't have to be, but I think it helps a lot if there's authenticity and you believe that the person really mean the words that are coming out of their mouth and they're not just reading from a script. Yeah. So
just to kind of add on to that, I would say that because I've been doing e-commerce for more than 25 years now, right? That when you look at, and I read a lot of classical marketing books and lived through evolving certain brands from classical traditional marketing over to e-commerce and today's social digital world. What started, and see if you agree with this or not, in classical marketing or traditional marketing, it was called referral marketing, right? Friends and family. MCI, was very popular when I was growing up as a phone company. If you refer your family or friends, we give you a discount and we give them a discount, something like that. And then what happened, e-commerce came about and the birth of e-commerce, and then it was a new channel. And another channel that was given birth to, a sub-channel within e-commerce, was affiliate marketing, right? Now, there were websites, blogs, or coupon sites, or comparison shopping and stuff like that. And you were getting that referral traffic, and you would be giving, it was commission-based primarily. You could do other types of placement, but primarily it was commission-based. With the birth of social media, those referral marketing and affiliate marketing kind of evolved into, not that it's gone, referral marketing still exists, and there are great providers that provide referral marketing even in the digital age. There are affiliate marketing platforms like Rakuten and Commission Junction, they do that too, right? That it evolved and gave birth to this new way of marketing called influencer marketing, where it was not a website or a person-to-person referral. It changed into a person actually sharing their content and wisdom or their thoughts and feedback on a service or product or whatever it is, and then influencing a small niche group of audience. Some people have a lot of audience, while others have niche audiences that are very effective. So what do you think about that evolution theory of influencer marketing?
It makes sense that kind of happens in parallel to the shift in attention. I mean, prior to social media, there were, the bloggers became vloggers, right? They a lot of these people have built up their audiences and published content. So, and the idea of going and paying someone for for them to mention you on their blog, that's been around longer than Instagram. That's been around longer than TikTok, and I don't know about YouTube, but maybe, So So I think there's certainly those two things that are running in parallel. And the challenge when you're, when there's a birth of a new kind of form of media or advertising is it's all over the place when you're starting out, right? This was one of the problems we set out to solve 5 years ago. If you went to, it's changed a lot now, but if you went to a creator and you said, hey, how much would it cost for you to talk about, to mention my product, to do a sponsored post? Someone might say, hey, I'll do it for free. That's on the one end of it's like, just send me the product and I'll happy to do it. On the other end, it would be like, yeah, give me $100,000, right? You would have those two. And if you think about banner advertising, in 1997 or whenever people started advertising, with banner ads, you would have the same thing. They're like, dude, I'll pay me $50 and I'll have your banner on my website. And someone else realized that, hey, there's
an opportunity there.
There's an opportunity here. So my point is, over time, it evolves into something, and this is a huge problem for marketeers, because you would have like someone at Samsung, for instance, which is one of our clients. They spend $11 billion each year on advertising. They can't go around and talk to like, how much do you want? How much do you want? They need to give a media agency. Unfortunately, we are not there, but I'm just, for the sake of illustration here. Here's $100 million. Go and make sure that we reach, 100 million consumers. They need marketing to be that. So that's what we set out to do right out the gate. We said, this has to be a scalable media channel. There has to be a way for clients to understand that if I give you $100,000, this is what will happen. If I give you $500,000, this is what will happen. And I think that's only natural when you have a new platform, just like those banner ads back in 1996 or whenever that must have been right around the time when you started out with e-commerce.
Yeah, it was actually, initially I was an internet guy, and then e-commerce came about and it became an e-commerce guy. That's how I pivoted over time.
Yeah. So
how do I get started as a brand owner, as a business owner? How do I get started with influencer marketing? My consultant Sabir told me that I need to do influencer marketing. What do I do now?
I think it's what's the saying here? To a man with a hammer, everything looks like a nail. I don't know who said that and if it's the right saying, but my point is, if you go to an influencer marketing person like me and you ask like, hey, we need to do influencer marketing, what do I do? I'm the guy with a hammer. Everything looks like a nail. My point is, I actually don't think that's true. Like, I don't believe in that kind of idea of doing things. So my starting point would be to actually take a step back and say, before you launch into the idea of like, because we have clients that are like, hey, I want to do an influencer marketing campaign on YouTube. I want to do an influence marketing campaign on Instagram. My starting point is like, what is your marketing objective? Who is your audience? And what are your marketing goals? Okay, so I'm looking to create a certain level of awareness for a new product we're launching next quarter, and my audience are, young millennials that are into wellness. And our goal is to be able to prove that we have increased, consideration for this line of products, right? So based on that information, I would then look at the many, many different ways of doing influence marketing that are out there and arrive at the right strategy. So it's very different. Like TikTok and Instagram and YouTube, the three big platforms that we're working with, they're very, very different depending on what you're trying to do. So that's from one point of view. I think it's important to like question that, hey, why are you looking to get into this platform because it's what everyone else is doing? Sure, but does it align with your marketing goals and your marketing strategy? So that's more of a strategic conversation. But when you think about the tactics and you then conclude that, okay, this is the right channel and we're going to do it in this platform and these are the goals, and you have that all fleshed out, then you have two options. You can either decide that you right out the gate, you want to go big, and you are a kind of company, maybe you're a big consumer brand and you're looking for a partner that can help you with all this, because you're operating at a level where you can't afford to screw up, or you just can't execute because of the complexity and scale. If that's the case, I would hire a partner like Relatable or any other of the many influence marketing agencies and experts that are out there. But if you're a smaller company and you're just looking to test things out, I would 100% do it in-house. I will do the very first couple of collaborations on my own because it will help you test the waters and understand what you can and can't do. It will help you, get a sense of what your challenges are. It will help you get a chance, an opportunity to get your team to understand the expertise that you will need if you decide to then hire a partner or license, technology or get a platform or any of those things. So
is there a network where I can go and search for these influencers? If I'm doing this out of, let's say I'm a small brand, it's my one product, or I have maybe a collection of products, right? So I don't, at this stage, I cannot afford an agency, but maybe I can start out by at least, getting my feet wet and kind of learning from the process. So is there a search engine that I can find influencers?
There's a lot of different software as a service and do-it-yourself tools out there. Like I think I'll get into how we operate in a second to kind of explain the difference. But if you just go in and you search for influence marketing, software platform, you'll find platforms like Creator IQ. This is a quite big one. Many of these, and then there are two different levels. There are the cheaper ones where you'll pay, I don't know, like $50 a month or $100 per month. And you can go in and use their search tools and things like that. And then there's the enterprise level of, hey, we need, we're a team of 10 people that are going to do this in-house. We need a platform. We don't just need a search engine. So there's multiple tools. I found when we started out that none of them did the things we wanted to do for our clients. So we ended up building our own. So we're kind of a hybrid between a tech company and an influence marketing agency. Wow. But I would, even without the platform, it's quite easy to find creators and influencers on the different platforms nowadays. I would start by, and this is the number one question that people have that are starting out, like, how do we find the right talent? Go into Instagram and find brands that are doing really well in your space, that have your audience. Start with the audience. Okay, if you're going for millennial, using the example earlier, millennial women that are into wellness and fitness, that are in the United States, go look at brands that attract that audience. Look at who they're working with, who they're collaborating with. Go into those profiles. Go and click the little, if you're doing Instagram, go and click the suggested users button, and you will find other people that are followed by the same audience. Start there. I would do that before like launching into
and DM them.
Let's get a software. Yeah, and here's the thing: most of them have their email address in their bio, and it says, email me for collaborations. Right? It's now that's not going to scale. Like that's going to be a lot of manual work if you're looking to operate at scale. But if you're just starting out, do that. Like it's
for the
pretty
first
simple.
10 collaborations, it makes sense to just do that, get it done.
It makes sense because then you're testing the waters and you learn that, hey, wow, it's so hard to find the right people. Or maybe it's easy to find the right people, but it's very hard to get them to create the kind of content you want. Or maybe you can get them to create the kind of content you want, but you're not driving sales or brand awareness, whatever your objective is. And then you can go to a partner and say, hey, we've been doing this for a little while, and it's really tricky to find people that have the right level of engagement and can reach the right audience. Can you help? Or maybe you're saying, hey, this works really, really well, but man, it's a lot of work. And we're only 2 people on the social media team here. We need someone that can help us bring this up to scale, because now we're going to move our Facebook budget. We're going to move our Facebook dollars to influence marketing. We need someone that can help us do that. So that's what I would do if I were getting started. I would look at those different options.
Since I started the show, well, just my personal experience, I've had brands come out to me with offers through DM, which exactly the formula that you're mentioning to me. Yeah. In the DM, it says, we will give you a lifetime discount of X percentage, whatever that is, 30, 50%, just for your own purchase once a month. But for lifetime. But then any traffic you refer, we'll give you 10%, and we'll give 10% discount to to your referred traffic. So they're getting a discount also, and you're making commission on all of your referred traffic. So that's a very basic model that I believe that anyone could kind of mimic. And then, but from it, you also learn how hard it is for influencers to say yes to actually doing your content, to push your product. What other sophistication do you really need in that relationship, right? The thing is, I don't know your brand. I don't even have it in front of me. And you're telling me that I have to buy it for 30% off, or 50% off.
I wouldn't do that. I mean, that's there are brands that are doing that, and I've learned from experience that there's another great saying, which is, if you pay with peanuts, you get monkeys. Right? and I don't mean to belittle anyone or make fun of anyone, but my point is, if you go for let's get the cheapest people out there and pay them as little as possible,
or don't pay them,
you can expect the content to be you can't ask for anything. You can't, if they create content and it's not good, you can't ask them to reshoot content if they're not publishing hey, we need this to go live on this date to align with this campaign. Why would they bother? It's what I tell creators and other people, that there's the PR team and then there's the advertising team. And the PR team, their job is to get earned media, right? Traditionally speaking, the job of the PR team is to get people to endorse your product without paying them. The job of the advertising and marketing people, their job is literally to spend money to, whatever the business.
To bring attention to make the sale.
Yeah. So it depends. If you're the PR team, you would do that. If you are the marketing and media team, this is a media investment. Put money into the channel, figure out, just like you would with Facebook. And if you're worried that it might not have a great return on investment, or that it might be tricky, start small. That's what you do. You can't do $1 per day or whatever the minimum on Facebook is. You have to put in maybe a few $1,000s to learn, but that's nothing if you have $1 million advertising budget. I would pay for the experience of learning how that kind of works.
I mean, people who don't understand the mechanics of influencer marketing, the economies need to make sense for both parties, for the brand as well as for the influencer, right? The theory is, well, we will find some people who are looking for content, and we will at least give them this option. But the thing is, I could choose 1,000 different products, or I can even choose to do if I needed content, I can go on Amazon, buy a product, and I can do it just to build up my own content, right? I don't have to be influenced in any way in that fashion.
Yeah.
And then once I have enough of it, then the brands who care about the content I produce and how I produce it, they will pay me to do that. I can just invest in myself. I don't have to have a brand give me a discount in order for me to push something.
I'll end this part of the conversation with something that we've found that is really valuable. That is, your values are more important than being well known. So if you're a small brand, you're reaching out to creators, influencers, your values and what you stand for is more important in their decision-making process of whether they decide to work with you or not. What you stand for is more important than the fact that they've heard about your brand. So just keep that in mind. It goes a really long way. And I know that a lot of influencer creators, it's based on me surveying and talking to people and figuring out that that's actually resonates with a lot of people. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't pay them. It just means that you don't have to be Samsung or Disney or Google or whatever. You can be a small company as well.
I mean, for the least, if your product is, let's say, $50 or $100, and you really want that influencer and you don't want to pay them, at least offer that product for free. That could be payment. If it's a worthwhile, let's say it's earphones or headphones or something like that, it will be useful for me. Go okay, you know what? They're at least paying me with their product, not necessarily with cash.
I think the problem is these are theoretically, yes, but I know that from experience, you could pay your employees with products as well. It's for a lot of people, it's a full-time job. I think if it's a full-time job, it's very hard to pay your bills with a pair of headphones. But again, if you, that's the PR side of it. People get free stuff. People get free stuff all the time. But then it's PR. Then if they talk about it, they talk about it. But don't expect anyone to go out and run your marketing for you based on that payment. So that's how I would think about it. I think it's in these days it's important to be fair. And by the way, that doesn't mean that you should overpay. You can still negotiate. If you have a budget, you have your goals. You know that if I pay more than $1,000 to this person, I'm not going to hit my marketing goal. Then don't. But know and from that experience of working with people and building those insights, you will learn what the numbers are. I wouldn't overpay. I wouldn't underpay either. If you're overpaying, it's not a good investment. If you're underpaying, you're not going to get the right people on board. Just like any other marketing channel.
And what's crazy is maybe the brand in that scenario is expecting a stranger, right, the influencer, to invest in their brand more than they would want to invest in their own brand. If you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, why are you expecting other people to invest in your brand and not pay them? And you are not willing to invest in your own brand. It's nonsense.
I think that's very true. What else do we what else do we have?
So I have actually a question here from our audience. Ariel asks, how have you seen brand influencers' marketing goals change over the years?
It depends a lot of the I think, okay, so I'll answer the question this way. A couple of years ago, there was not, brands are asking for more. So I don't think the goals have changed, but the ways they evaluate the goals have changed a lot. So there's more accountability now. You're now having, if you're reallocating $1 million advertising budgets to this new channel, and let's say, for instance, that your goal is to drive awareness, you need to be able to measure brand lift, for instance, and not just rely on the fact that your agency told you that you reached, hey, we reached 50 million followers. They're like, what does that mean for my business? So my point is, a lot more brands now are asking and demanding that you connect the marketing goals to the business values. And like with all advertising, it's not always as straightforward as CMOs and big brands know that when you run a TV campaign, you might not be able to tell the day after what it did for your business. Influencer marketing is the same way, but at least there has to be, people demand a lot more from a measuring and understanding results point of view. The goals hasn't changed. I think the goals are the same. The way you measure and evaluate them we've upped the game. People ask for a lot more now.
Very cool. Actually, just kind of going to, the earlier comment I made about the evolution is kind of related to this question too. Evolution. One other company that's very near and dear to my heart, and actually I actually look at them. It's weird because I'm an e-commerce guy and I look at a non-e-commerce company as a North Star, and that company is combination of QVC and HSN, right?
Yeah.
And something that when I see a company like that, what I've not seen it from them, and I've not seen anybody actually solve it, which I think we are getting there though, right?
Yeah.
They did a great job of utilizing video to bring in testimonials, to bring in the owner of the brand or whoever the influencer is to kind of share their thoughts as they were selling it, and they were measuring it by the second, basically. By the second, how productive that second is from a revenue standpoint. That's why they actually show you how many people bought or it's sold out or whatever. That influences you. But that evolution I've not seen it evolve into e-commerce yet. I think we're getting there, but I don't think we're there yet,
So maybe, we did something, it was in August, so fairly recently, we did I think one of the things I thought about in 2020 is that everything old is new. Like, people are working out in front of their TVs. They're buying things based of, I'll give you an example here. So a couple of weeks ago, our client Samsung launched one of the first live shopping integrations that they've ever done. So the live shopping experience, it's very simple. It's integrated on Samsung.com. It's you go live, like we're live right now, but instead of us having a conversation about the specific topic at hand, they demonstrate products and they talk about the answer questions, and they show new products that are coming out or recently launched, and there's also a promotion happening at the same time, right? So you would get 10% off or 20% off. The difference is, what we did was we took the live shopping experience with video integrated natively on the website, and we combined it with influence marketing, right? So this was in the Nordics. We took two of the biggest creators, and it was a person on Instagram and YouTube. They both came into the Samsung studio together with a Samsung employee. They sat down for 30 minutes and they talk about 3 new products and these two creators are also official, that they are Samsung ambassadors. So they use the products, they're very knowledgeable, but they're not experts. The person that works at Samsung is the expert, but they are the user. More importantly, they bring their audience. So they would promote it on Instagram. They would promote it in their channels before going live. And then during the show, they would have, like we can't do that now, obviously, because we don't have the technology. But imagine that in the kind of upper corner, the product would pop up and you could click on that product and purchase it while you're watching the show. So this is very much like, infotainment style programming on prime time. My point is QVC has done this for 33 years. So there's like, when you think about it, there's nothing new at all. There's 2 famous people. We've changed the definition of what famous with democratization of publishing content. We have these 2 celebrities bringing in their audience, and they're sitting down in a couch and they're having a conversation about a product. It's awesome for consumers. They get to ask questions. They're not calling in to ask questions. It's a chat, but then they have the opportunity to get a really good deal. I cannot disclose the exact numbers because I'm under an NDA with Samsung, but I can tell you that we had something like I actually cannot disclose this number because we're breaching it, but we had a lot of, I'll just put it this way. We had a lot of people buying products within that 30-minute window. And these are products that are ranging in the price point of between $500 and $1,500. So you can kind of imagine what the average order value is, and see that most of the sales then happen in real time to that audience. It is very hard to get someone to buy $1,000 product that they've never seen before in the space. So
it's no longer an unveiling event, right? Or show, right? Just for awareness. It's actually a commerce experience where
it's natively integrated. So you would have the product would show up. You could add it to cart, I think, while you're watching the show, and then you can go and check out later. There would be a promotion. You could ask questions. The live shopping thing is not necessarily new. The unique combination of having...
But it's evolving, though.
It's evolving. So live shopping meets influence marketing. We're talking about like expert advice and things I think people should do. Try this if you are in e-commerce. It's two people. It's very easy to do. You get 2 people and you get them to come on your and you can promote it in your own channel, to your own newsletter, things like that as well, as an event and something that's happening.
So Asul asked the question, is it difficult to convince brands of results of influencer marketing since they're not so tangible and trackable, right? And tracking can be complicated, especially when it comes to creating brand awareness.
It is when it's sales, it's sales, right? So when it's sales, you know how much product you sold. So generally, if it's a sales, like this specific thing I talked about with Samsung, we could see 30 minutes later, we knew exactly how much product we've sold. Now, I think the challenge is, what about all the people that watched but didn't buy? I think everyone would agree that that has some value. Mm-hmm. Like if someone is watching this and they don't immediately call me and become a client, there's still a value. right? Because they are now more educated and they now have more level of awareness, consideration, or whatever. It's a lot harder to prove that and tie that back to your business results. There are ways where you can estimate it. There are ways where you can benchmark it versus other channels. I don't think it's harder to measure influencer marketing than it is to measure the impact of TV advertising. Think about it. It's like the same thing. Someone you advertise on TV and you're a retailer. How are you going to know? Mm-hmm. Well, you do because you have panels, you have brand lift studies, you have experience, you have done, maybe you advertised in one market and you didn't advertise in the other, and you can kind of look at the difference of the results and figure out your attribution. You can do it like very, very basic back of the napkin, math like that, or you can bring in data scientists and build a model that you refine over time. I think it's getting easy. I'll end by saying it's getting easier because we now have more access to data from the platforms. Yeah. We didn't have that before, so it's easier, but it's easier, but still not necessarily like very easy.
So I'm going to add on to that because from my lens, because influencer marketing is one of the channels, not among many other channels that I look at.
Yeah.
I'll share the stats with you. This is from actual data that I have analyzed over the past 25 years with multiple brands, right? If it's a digital only brand, the touch point of consumers making a buying decision on average for the brands it's in multiple different categories, fashion as well as health and wellness and so on, right? It tends to be about 7 digital touch points if you're a digital only brand, meaning that you're just an e-commerce business, right?
Yeah.
It tends to be 7 different digital touch points. That number jumps to between 20 to 25 touch points, digital and physical, if you are on the shelf or you sell in your own retail or you sell on somebody else's retail store. 25 yep. to make a buying decision, right?
Yeah.
That to me means in that scenario, 25 impressions at least of you, of that brand, for you to continue keeping that brand in your consideration set, right? So what some marketers do, and actually they pay dearly for it because they end up losing their jobs, they when they're looking at budget allocation, they go like, oh, that thing, influencer marketing did not work, or they'll pick on anything, any channel, right?
Yeah.
The RoAS, the return on advertising spend on this channel, Google Ads, is very high, but this other thing is very low, right? The RoAS is very low based on Google Analytics, right?
Yeah.
What do? They pull it out. And what happens next quarter? I don't know what happened. We are spending exactly the same. We just stopped spending on things that were not working. What did you stop spending on? Oh, that one channel. Yeah. Did you not consider assisted conversion?
I think that's it's fair for all channels. I think the easiest way to think about it is if you think about your own behavior and you're scrolling through Instagram. How many times have you stumbled across a product you've never heard or seen before? You've pulled up your wallet and your phone and you've immediately bought that thing. I think, going from my own experience, it's ranging between like never and maybe once. And if it's once, it's usually because they got really lucky. So if that's how consumers behave and they've never heard of you, they've never seen your product, why, if you're not like that, I'm not like that, why would you expect someone to immediately rush and buy your product? Now, if you have a strong promotion and you have the right audience, you have good timing, and you're reaching multiple touch points, it becomes a different story. But doing something one time to one set of audience, you might not even get the creative right. You might not even reach the right audience. Even if you are, there's a reason why good conversion rate is like 3% or whatever, 5%. 95% are not buying. That does not mean that the 95% go to waste. Like, that's your point, right? It's that you now have another 24 touch points to go before those guys convert, if they are going to become your. I mean,
your as a brand, if you're digitally omnipresent, at least you are covering your bases. In every one of those digital touch points to make sure that, for the least, you should have a remarketing or retargeting set up across all of the channels, so that regardless of where you put your majority of your budget, let's call it Facebook or Google, that's the most popular answer, right? You put that in there. But the thing is, you should have a backup plan, which is remarketing and retargeting across all of the channels, so that you're investing very little, but you're at least in the same consideration set. So I moved on and looked at my Snapchat. Can you put an ad against it so that I get one more impression of your brand, so that I can see that, oh wow, I just checked them out. Here's their advertisement. Actually, I'm gonna put a question up for you that just came in from Sean here. What are your views on incorporating? This is a very interesting question. On incorporating influencer marketing to your recruitment strategy as a way of finding and hiring. Just before the episode would air, Aron, you and I were talking about the B2B aspect of it. This kind of touches B2B also, but it's more on the HR side of the question.
What's up, Sean? Sean is an old colleague of mine, so I'm super happy to hear that he's
watching you.
He's watching me. My views in incorporating influence marketing recruiting. We talked about B2B. We talked about, I think it kind of aligns with, I'll start by saying that I don't have any experience. So I'm just kind of guessing based on my experience in other areas now. There's, when you look at, I think of it more as a employer branding and what you want your company from a point of view of hiring to be known for. And maybe that association can be leveraged. It's more of a B2B. It's not even B2B because now it's like recruiting. I don't know. Have you seen? I haven't. There's no examples that come to mind. I think naturally, if you hire people, that maybe the way to think about it is this. Okay, so you have in B2B marketing, you don't need that big of an audience, right? So we talked about this before the show, like you mentioned. For me, if I can get 50 people to listen to this, I'm happy because they're probably like 50, people that are in my target audience. I am not selling millions of smartphones. I am selling B2B services. Now, if you think about recruiting from the same point of view, who are the creators? Who are the influencers? They are your employees. And your employees doesn't necessarily need to have that big of an audience for you to recruit and find the right talent. I think what you need to do is you need to, and everyone is a publisher now. Your company could start a podcast where you talk to employees that they share. I know I actually have a friend who's a podcast producer. They're doing exactly that. He's running a podcast for a company for employer branding purposes. You could have your employees go on LinkedIn and share and talk about what you're doing within your business. Now, but are they influencers? Yes, they are. They have a network. They have an audience. I have, my point is I have maybe 15,000 connections on LinkedIn and I would get, whatever I post, I would get a few thousand views. I have colleagues that have a few hundred connections. They post and publish the right thing. It reaches like 5,000, 10,000 people. So I don't like the term a micro influencer, but I think you see what kind of the parallel is. I've had employees share things that we're doing. They have 200-300 contacts on LinkedIn. It spreads organically, and suddenly it's in front of like 5,000 or 10,000 people. So certainly your employees are your best advocates if they like working at your company. It's authentic. If you make it in a way that's engaging and entertaining and all that, I think so. Hey, Sabir, do you want to talk a little bit about? I just don't want to lose out on the opportunity of talking about TikTok. Do we have time?
Yeah, I think we might go a little over. That's okay. I mean, given TikTok and in the United States, especially, we're having issues, right, with our government, kicking TikTok out, and there is a lot of political climate around it.
Oh yeah.
But let's talk about the stats. I mean, I think it's incredible, right? 800 million Gen Z worldwide, phenomenal organic. It's like being when Facebook grew out and when Instagram grew out back in 2012. Being there at the right time is the right time right now on TikTok. So what are your thoughts on some D'Amico, and so there are so many TikTok influencers. They have multi-100 million views of their content. That's incredible.
That
But what are your thoughts on that from an influencer perspective? And does it really build up your awareness at least, or if you have examples of conversion from that perspective?
I think we could probably talk TikTok for an hour, and I'm actually doing, I don't know if this is a shameless plug or not, but I have done Let's Talk TikTok, which is an hour-long presentation that I've done internally that I'm going to record externally and probably share somewhere. But I'll give you a couple of highlights. Right now, from an influence marketing point of view, I think TikTok is the most underpriced platform and opportunity there is. It's basically Instagram in 2010. So a lot of people that are looking at companies in the influence marketing space, they're like, oh, it's like Instagram in 2020, 2011. Instagram launched in 2010. So maybe like Instagram 2012. Here's my point. So Instagram 10 years ago, time flies, man. 10 years ago, probably launched yesterday. They made everyone a better. So a lot of people are confused about TikTok with all the dance videos and like banning the platform and all this stuff that are going on. Let's just talk about what it is. In 2010, Instagram made everyone a better photographer. That was what they did.
I love this, by the way.
They gave people the tools, they gave people the platform, and they gave people some unwritten rules to make it easy, safe, and fun to publish content. What I mean by unwritten rules, and this is very important, when everyone was posting pictures of sunsets and their breakfast, you too could publish a picture of a sunset and a breakfast, because those were kind of the unwritten rules. That's what you did. And nowadays, it's a lot more than that, of course. But there were these, like, they had the tools. It had the unwritten rules. Everything was in a square. Everyone had the same filters. Everyone had access to the same app, and everything showed up in the feed with all the other content. Right? So they made it easy, safe, and fun to publish content. Fast forward to 2020. 10 years later, TikTok makes everyone a creator and storyteller with short-form video. Just think about it that way. Like, they give people the tools, the platform, and the unwritten rules to make it easy, safe, and more fun to share content. Unwritten rules are different. It started, I don't even know if it started with dance challenges, but that's an example.
It was Musical.ly, yeah.
It's Musical.ly, right? But now you have challenges. You're like, okay, I'm supposed to do the wipe down challenge where I stand in front of my mirror, I wipe, and then suddenly, once my hand flashes over the screen, I've changed my outfit or something weird.
Yeah, by the way, we don't have any filters on this show. So when you're doing that, it's not going into...
Nothing happens.
Nothing happens. I'm sorry.
My point is, you can look at things that people are doing. They also have the unwritten rules of the first take, right? For your first take, that's what goes live. No matter how good or bad it is, if it's silly, if it's stupid. And that's what you have people now it's basically the very definition of a meme, right? It's a transmission of an idea in culture. That's what a meme is. It's not about unique to any platform. My point is, they're making everyone a creator and a storyteller with short form video. That's what it is. There's 800 million Gen Z millennial users. 80% are Gen Z and millennial. You have exceptional engagement. So you'll get, like, even the famous people, even the TikTok celebrities, they'll get like 20% engagement. Their numbers on Instagram, just averages. People, they're outliers. It's 2%, right? You have a first mover advantage. There are very, very few brands, and there are very few brands doing influencer marketing on TikTok. And then you have the final piece of this, which is the organic distribution. The genius of TikTok, and everyone who's ever used TikTok knows this. Just go in, open the app. It's going to start serving up content for you. And now they've published actually how this works. They look at your first interactions to figure out what you're into. It's basically like Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, but you don't need to find your friends. You can just go in. It's going to start
consuming content, and engaging with the content,
And more importantly, what that means is that discovery and organic video views are more like YouTube than Instagram. You upload a video, and I actually looked at the numbers from a recent survey we did with this was last week, so very recent, with 1,000 TikTok influencers. We see things like it's cheaper than Instagram to publish content. I don't have an exact number, like it's 70% cheaper, 20% cheaper, but it's cheaper. It's a little bit cheaper. So you can expect whatever you're paying on Instagram, you can pay a little bit less. The production lead times are shorter. So 98% of creators can turn around and publish a video for you within 7 days. Most can do it in a day or two. Every single person that I've looked at, and this is where it gets really interesting, every single person has an outlier video, a one-hit wonder. I don't want to call it a one-hit wonder because each person has several one-hit wonders. But let's just take, for instance, you would have someone that would make 9 videos. And then it would get, on average, they would get 5,000 views per video. One video, in every single case I looked at, most recent 9 videos, one video has at least, on average, the average number is 20 times the view count. So they would get, 5,000 views, 5,000 views, 5,000 views, boom, 100,000 views. One video. That's explained by that For You page in TikTok algorithm. So it's unpredictable because it's the early days, but fortune, I think, favors the bold. So think about adding all these things up. If you go right now and you find 10 creators on TikTok, now I can't promise this, but on average, if you go and make 10 videos, 1 or 2 of them are going to have more views than all the other videos combined. And there's no recency. Like, you will see, if you pay attention to the For You page on TikTok, they don't tell you when the video was published. So they've kind of taken that out of the equation. It's not about whether it was published yesterday or an hour ago. It's whether it's relevant for you or not. That's why it's more like YouTube than Instagram.
Yeah, exactly. Very cool.
So that's what I would do. I would go in. And I actually shared this on LinkedIn yesterday, and I had someone write like, "Hey, this is you just kind of exposed our secret to building our entire brand." So this is not theoretical. People are doing this, but not many of them. There are no other brands. There are very, very few other brands doing influence marketing campaigns and collaborations. So
I mean, the brands should be open to experimentation. They shouldn't always go, because the thing is, it's like going where everybody else is. That means that it's going to be expensive, right?
That's what I meant with Instagram in 2010. Like, if you missed opportunity 10 years ago, go
to TikTok right now.
Yeah, do it right now, or if regret it in 5 years from now. Like, I can't promise that it will work, but I can promise that you will be better positioned right now than ever before.
Exactly. I know that we're going a little over, but I do want to, I'm really enjoying everything that you have shared here. And I think with the comments that we're seeing and stuff like that, people are getting definitely great value. Right. I do want to touch on one topic because it starts with a comment I started the show with, talking about the deep scars you have, right? What are the 3, you would say, top mistakes most brands make when they start thinking about influencer marketing, or they do it and then they are just not doing it correctly? What are your thoughts around that? What are the top 3 mistakes, and how can they get around that?
I would say the biggest one is, think of this as something you're setting up for the long term. Build your ambassador program and talent pool over time. What I mean by talent pool is find out who's in your community, in your corner, that you don't have to invest long term to work with them right out the gate, but build things in a way where you create an unfair advantage by having access to your own insights and data. I'll give you an example. I can't disclose who it is because, again, it's under NDA. It would not be fair if I started to to these brands if I told you who they were. There's a company right now, relatively small company. They're doing $50 million in sales per year in the US alone with influence marketing. They're not even advertising on Facebook. They're like, no, we're only doing influence marketing. Their secret is that they have done 8,000 collaborations and counting. So
wow.
Here's the number by itself. It could be 800 or 80 people. My point is, they know who drives sales for them. They know who drives awareness. They know who drives association, who they should invite to their events, who they should amplify with paid media. The real leverage is not necessarily the ambassador program. It's that they've invested over time in understanding where to put their media dollars to generate the greatest ROI. Like, it's like once you've done a lot of Facebook marketing, you know what your winners are, and then you put more money in those campaigns. It's the same thing. So like, that's an opportunity. But on the other flip side of that, like, I have clients that have done hundreds of YouTube videos. And I also know that the top 10% of those videos generate most sales. Here's the thing. They know who the 10% is. You don't. So that's their unfair advantage. They can go back and they can overpay those creators because they know that that's where they're going to get a return. And they also know who they shouldn't work with because they've invested in that learning, they've gotten their own scars. So, so the mistake is, don't go short. Don't go once and they're like, this didn't work. Okay, this we learned who not to work with and who to work with. If you work with 10 people and only one person drove sales, now you know who to go to drive sales. And now you can look at, okay, what was the attributes of that person that we can go and look for people with a similar audience, similar attributes to learn.
Perfect.
So that's a bit of an advice and mistake, depending on which side of the coin you're looking at.
Now, this is the hardest pitch, Aron.
Right.
Thank you for sharing, by the way. Tremendous amount of engagement from the audience and the questions they asked and all the value you've delivered. What is your number one $100,000 expert insight into influencer marketing?
That you should hire me. Besides
that.
No. This is my only shot at selling something. You should give me $100,000 and I will give you $100,000 back. Now, my number one advice is that if I were to pick just one thing, and this is generally, I can't speak for everyone, but generally, leverage YouTube to drive organic and direct sales and traffic. Okay, so first thing you're going to know is it's very expensive, relatively speaking, to create really good dedicated videos on YouTube with influencers and creators. It's more expensive than any other channel, okay? Here's the reason you should outspend your competitors and you should overinvest in that channel. It's very simple. The content on YouTube, it lives forever. Once you've created a video, it's going to be on YouTube for the rest of your life. And so why is this $100,000 insight? Well, I'll break it down and I'll show you a real example. Let's say that you put, so the way we sell, and this is how we sell, but this is also how I think you should buy, right? So the way we sell campaigns on YouTube is we'll give you a number of estimated views in like 30 to 45 days. I'll tell, okay, because we have a prediction, we built prediction models. So we know that, okay, this YouTube channel is going to get this many views in this amount of time. You don't need to have that, but just to kind of get us on the same page. Now, you go and you look at a YouTube channel and you say, okay, this person generates 100,000 views on average per video. Most within whatever time frame, 3 months, 1 month. So you go and you pay that person $10,000 to make a video. So that would be like $100 CPM if we're talking this as like a media buy. So you're paying for the views. Now, that video is going to generate traffic because let's say you're selling a product and there's a link in the bio and you click on that and you go sell product. Two things are going to happen. First of all, you get a lot of organic sales. If you're doing app installs, if you're doing sales, for each person that clicks, there's 3 to 4 more people that just go and search and buy the brand organically. So first of all, your numbers, you're going to have to look at your organic numbers and the direct traffic. So that's my first advice. If you're like, hey, let's say you have an app and you're driving installs to that app. If you got like 100 installs, 300 to 400 people went to the app store and just installed it organically. So you need to look at your numbers and connect the dots. So then you know that, hey, this is actually 3-4 times better than we thought. But secondly, let's go back to the example. You paid for your 100,000 views. It's been a month. You got, you paid your $10,000. You got, 100,000 views on your video. The next month, you will get another 10%. And then the month after, you get another 10%. You get another 10%. So just like any investment, it compounds. So then after a year, you will have 200,000 views. So now you've doubled your ROI. I don't know what your exact return on investment is, but on that media investment, unlike Facebook, unlike any other media channel, imagine if you ran a Facebook ad and they forgot to turn it off, but you stopped paying. Like, that's what it is. It's like running a TV commercial and just keeps showing up to people. Now, I'll show you an example because it's out there, so it's not really like a secret or anything. Let's see if I can pull this up as as an end note. Where do I? There we go. I'll show you the math here because it's just an example. Sabir, I can't see the screen anymore, but just can you see it? Like, can people see it?
Yes.
Okay. So you put $10,000 into an investment. This is what you pay the person to make a video. You get 100,000 views. Let's say 3% click through and go to your website. That's 3,000 visitors. And let's say 3% of those bought your product. You generate 90 sales. Let's say the product is $150. That's your average order value. That's $13,500. Now, I don't know you, and I don't know what your numbers are, but you would look at this and that and say, okay, we sold for $13,500. We invested 10. Maybe it was good, maybe not. I don't know what your margins are. My point is, after 12 months, if your video keeps growing to 200,000 views, now it's $27,000. 300,000 views, it's $40,000. 500,000 views, $67,500. My point is, if you keep investing in the channel, what's going to happen is, let's stop the screen sharing here. What's going to happen is you're going to keep, like, your return on investment is going to improve over and over again. It increases. So let me show you a real example finally to end on a high note here.
By the way, I do want you to show your book. So that I did see some comments related to your book. They want to see which book it is. Here we go.
We'll do this first, and then we'll do that. Okay. Here's a video. Anyone can look this up, so it's not like any secret or anything. This is a video about a home spa day skincare and pamper routine with a creator called Haley Sunny. It's a collaboration with a company called BioClarity. They were at the time a client of ours, and we made this video. I think we did, or maybe they did. Well, someone made a video. Pretty sure it was us because I found it. Oh, it is us because I found it in our campaign system. This video, if I'm not mistaken, our goal was to get 50,000 views. So I cannot remember the exact investment, but let's say it was $5,000 for like 50,000 views. It has 1.8 million views now 3 years later. So if they were to go right now and they were to invest with the same level of investment to get 1.8 million views, that would be something like, $180,000. But they paid $5,000. So, and if you, and then the other thing is YouTube keeps getting more expensive. So whatever you would have paid 3 years ago, now it's probably twice as much. So you also get like the price increase, you're not paying for it. So I hope that makes sense as like a $100,000.
No, that was two great examples there.
And I want to be clear you're not going to see this with every video. This is an outlier of sort. My point is, if you create 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 videos, some of them are going to be picked up by the YouTube recommendation algorithm. Some of them are going to show up in Google search results. Some of them are going to show up to new subscribers of that YouTube channel. And as long as people can still click and buy your product with whatever promotion you implemented at the time, you will keep driving sales for the rest of your life.
And continue driving down the cost also. So Aron, yes. Just one last thing. If you could show the book, because I had several of these examples. There you go. This is what the book looks like. Influencer Marketing for Brands. It's available on Amazon, correct?
Yes. If you go to Amazon and you search either my name or you search Influencer Marketing for Brands, or if you go to relatable.me/book. So relatable.me/book. Or if you go to relatable.me and you look for, I think there's like, click here to buy the book somewhere. It'll take you to Amazon. It's based on the many insights that we've gathered over the years. Naturally, we can't cover everything right now when we're live, but if you like the contents that we've been talking about for the last hour, I think you will like the contents of the book. So if you do, you should go and buy the book. That's my shameless plug.
That's not shameless. Actually, that's a really worthwhile book. I highly recommend it. Aron was very kind enough to actually autograph and send me a copy a while back when it came out. I think it was about a year ago, or maybe 9 months ago, possibly.
It was beginning of this year. Feels like it's been 10 years.
Yeah, 9 months ago, roughly.
It was January, I think.
Yep. So he autographed and sent it to me. It's really worthwhile. There's a lot of great examples in there and case studies that I think it would be great complementary to this in-depth interview we just did, and we covered this topic. Aron, thank you for being on the show. I know that this is supposed to be 60 minutes. We went 75 minutes. Thank you for giving me the extra 15 minutes. The audience actually stuck around and they continued commenting and sharing their thoughts and stuff like that. So thank you for being here on the show, and I really appreciate you sharing your knowledge. And definitely, we shot for $100,000. I think we delivered over $1 million here.
We'll see. It's all what people do with it.
You have to explain that to your CFO, though. But I think we have good content.
If people just go rewatch what I said and implement some of the insights, I think they'll be helpful.
That'll be phenomenal.
All right. Thank you. Thanks, man.
Thank you. All right. Bye-bye, everyone. Thank you for joining us.